Yet another nail biter here down the finish. We have Autumn Burchett versus Luca Magni, and they are faced off against each other with different records. Now, what that means is that Autumn Burchett is in the privileged position of needing simply a win here or next round to make it into the top 8. That 12th win will lock up yet another top 8 for Autumn Burchett.
Yeah.
But she's got to finish strong here and get this round or next. As we come into the match, Autumn is up a game. So we're coming in game number 2. So tantalizingly close here for Autumn Burchett. Now on the other side is Luca Magni. Now Luca is also in a good position here though. Similar, in fact, the exact same to what we just had with Paula Vitor and Gabriel Nassif. A win here will lock up a chance to play for top 8 for sure next round. And even with a loss, Luca Magni could get into the top 8. So picking up back-to-back wins here over Autumn Burchett would be fantastic for Luca, where a loss here, well, now you're kind of up against it. You have to win next round to be able to have a chance to make it into the top 8. And even then you're not guaranteed. But really the focus should be on Autumn here because Autumn controls her own destiny. This is a winning in to the top 8 right here, right now, this game or next. And that would be another top 8 for Autumn Burchett. Truly incredible run that she's been on.
Yeah, I mean, talk about exciting. That last match that Autumn played where she top decked the questing beast. I mean, what an incredible match that was.
Insane.
I mean, I just thought I thought she was done for. I thought she was dead, and finding a way somehow to scrap together a victory.
Okay, it looks like this is actually the beginning of the match, but from time constraints, because remember, we have a whole nother round to bring you today. There's an additional round from yesterday. We're gonna zoom up to game 2 once we can get it there. So we'll just kind of hang out here and chit chat for a little bit, Paul, before we get to that point. But we're not going to be watching the entirety of this particular game, as we already know that it's gone to Autumn Burchett. Yeah, it's funny, Paul, talking about that top deck of the questing beast from last round. When Corey and Ailey were in the booth, you know, I have to say, it felt like Autumn, you know, kind of felt similarly to how you did. And she told us in an interview after, I knew I needed to top that questing beast, but I mean, come on, when has that ever happened? Right? Like, you know, it's like, this is the only way I can win. And, you know, in her mind, that was literally the only way that she was going to be able to win was by top decking that specific card on that specific turn. And that's exactly what happened. You gotta feel like something's just going great for you when that happens. All right. So now we're going to kick off the beginning of game number 2 here.
Yeah, I mean, got to play to kind of the outs that you have left in your deck. And that's exactly what Autumn did. I mean, she was facing up an active Ashiok for multiple turns, but still kind of was able to piece together a win there.
All right, so now we're underway here in the second game.
And a fairly slow start here from Luca. He's got a bunch of tap lands, does have a Thieves Guild Enforcer, and Autumn has a pretty aggressive start here because this turn she can run out the Brushfire Elemental, get in, and then on the following turn can play another Brushfire Elemental, and that has, of course, the 1-2 punch of Brushfire Elemental into a sack land, which will allow her to get in for potentially 11 points of damage on turn 3.
All right, well, gonna have to settle for 2 points of damage here on turn 2. Still not too bad. Oh, there's a Thieves Guild Enforcer, so I suppose that could jump in front of the token. Probably not. There we go. These Guild's just going to get a couple of mills, and let's see what Luca has lined up for this turn. You see Soaring Thought Thief with another land. There's a Zareth Sand, perhaps for next turn.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of thinking about how many cards. If Luca can put 7 cards into Autumn Burchett's graveyard immediately, then he will have access to that Lone Ages domination. And that's what it looks like he's doing here. Running at that Soaring Thought Thief, attacking potentially here with the Thieves Guild Enforcer, getting an attack in for 4. Oh, I guess not quite there yet. but on the next turn, we'll be able to put enough cards in graveyard where you will then be able to play a low mage's domination and basically steal anything that Autumn plays this turn.
Also important when you're setting up for Zareth Sand to try to get as many cards into the yard as you can to give yourself the chance to get the best possible target.
Yeah. However, given the complexion of Autumn's hand, she can't really do anything really to play around a potential Zareth Sand, as she does not have a way to get that Soaring Thought Thief off the battlefield. So it seems to me that she might want to just run at the Brushfire Elemental, get him for as much damage as possible.
Which is a lot.
Right. I guess alternatively, she did have the option of playing Scavenging Ooze and keeping up a green mana to potentially prevent a Zareth Sand from getting in and stealing something big.
It's a huge hit of damage, though. The double Brushfire with the Fabled Passage just adds up so quickly. Brushfire Elemental really showing its quality here as it gets in for 10 and down to 8 goes Luca. So boy, this Zareth better be pretty incredible. And if that is the plan, it's going to be costly. There was no untapped land off the top of the library. Seagate Restoration in hand, but that's an oucher if you want to play it untapped.
And not even amazing targets, right? I mean, there's an Ox there, which is okay, but I mean, you're going to have to discard your entire hand. The only good thing about getting the Ox out of Autumn Burchett's graveyard is the fact that Autumn can't escape the Ox.
Right. Doesn't really help you that much.
Right.
Yikes.
I mean, you could just steal a Brushfire Elemental potentially. Oh no. We are stealing something here.
Boy, you know, you do get an extra couple of looks at it there with the Soaring Thought Thief, but it looks like it was a pair of Edgewall Innkeepers that went to the yard. So here comes Zareth Sand.
And we might see Luca going for the Ox here. Could also go for the Bone Crusher.
Yeah, there was a Bone Crusher.
Oh, I didn't see the Lovestruck Beast. Okay.
Okay.
No, that's great.
There's a brick wall for you. I mean, this is still a very precarious situation here. Luca's down to 5.
Right, but Autumn doesn't have a phenomenal attack here. If Autumn plays a land,
no.
Autumn's going to have a pair of 3/3s, and one of them is just going to run straight into that Lovestruck Beast.
The other one would get traded off for the Thieves Guild Enforcer, and that would mean potential for 1 damage to come across off of the token, but at a dear cost to Autumn's board state, especially when you start considering things like Embercleave, which we don't see in hand here for Autumn, but you know, you do need something decent to put it on. And if you're going to do it a turn or two early, you need some creatures to attack with. So boy, Luca hanging on to a barely stabilized board, but that Lovestruck Beast in the yard, very critical.
Yeah, I wonder if Autumn's just going to go Scavenging Ooze and then escape Ox, right? That puts a couple of threats onto the battlefield. Okay, looks like we're just going for an escape here instead. Hey, this is actually about as good as it could have gone for Luca, right? There's so many cards that probably just went, hey, you lose. And instead, Autumn just put a couple of extra permanents onto the battlefield, which now opens the door for Luca to potentially try to stabilize here. Oh, Luca getting aggressive here with the Zareth. I guess this is just going to force a chump from a 1/1. But Luca still has the same blocks that he had in the previous turn, which is Lovestruck Beast plus Thieves Guild Enforcer on the Brushfire Elementals. But this time, he's in a much better spot because either he can put an additional blocker in play with the Soaring Thought Thief he has in hand, or he can bounce something with the Brazen Borrower. So now he's got a little additional insurance against a card like a potential Embercleave off the top if Autumn top decked that.
Well, here comes that scavenging ooze. Luca taking a look at the situation.
Yeah, not much you can do in response to that, I don't think. Now,
Right.
one thing to consider here for Luca would be with the Oxybogonus trigger on the stack, maybe you want to bounce something. For example, the Scavenging Ooze, which is kind of problematic, right?
Oh, that's cool.
You could choose to bounce the Scavenging Ooze in response, and then Autumn would be forced to discard it. If you want to go for maybe a more tempo-oriented play, you could potentially bounce the Oxybogonus. And at this point, Autumn just trying to be really mindful of the cards in her graveyard, just so that Zareth San can't return a very relevant creature from the graveyard.
You want to balance it out between leaving enough food for your scavenging ooze, but not leaving anything really juicy to get back with Zareth San.
Yeah. So this is an interesting choice. As you can see, Luca's just not snapping this off. He's deciding between whether or not he wants to bounce the ooze here or the Ox.
Ox gets the additional +1/+1 counter there, so it is a 5/3, the biggest thing on the battlefield. Outside of that Lovestruck Beast, and there it is. The Ox is going to go back into hand. It's going to get discarded. Now it's in the graveyard. And what did Autumn find? The Great Henge, a Mammoth, and a Fabled Passage. None of which will be able to get played here, it looks like.
Oh, the really interesting thing, though, here is that the Thieves Guild Enforcer is currently a 1/1. However, that Lovestruck Beast is still on the battlefield. So Autumn could offer the, I guess, 1-for-1 trade potentially. You can eat my 3/3, but then do you really want to take 3, or do you want to just chump block with your Thieves Guild Enforcer?
Right.
Because going down to 2 against a deck that has Stomp or Bone Crusher Giant is not really where you want to be.
Well, I mean, the Thieves Guild can't block the Brushfires
you're
right
correct.
now.
You're correct. Right.
But it looks like Autumn says, no. I'm just going to stay patient here and pass the turn back. You know, the addition of Great Henge into the hand here for Burchett's also really interesting, Paul, in that it does give Autumn a much different angle than what she had before. Now, all of a sudden, this game could go very long, and she could be quite happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because of the Fabled Passage. Because she has a Fabled Passage in hand, the Brushfire Elementals, she plays the passage, cracks it. All of a sudden, she's got a 5/5, meaning that the Great Henge would cost 4 mana. And then if that resolves, she could then follow that up with either a Lovestruck Beast or the Kazando Mammoth she has in hand.
It's a good close game between these two players. They're playing for a lot, particularly Autumn Burchett, who's actually straight up playing for top 8 this very game. And Zareth San wants to get chippy here, but Autumn says, no. You've had enough value. I'm just going to go ahead and throw the human token in front.
Oh, and I think we're going to see Luca tap out here for... Oh, no.
Ah, clever. Just going to play the 3/3 Gadwick and leave Soaring Thought Thief at the ready.
Yeah, I think Luca's trying to set up a scenario where he can try to get an attack in here with that Zareth San.
Oh, okay. So do some strategic tapping with Gadwick and maybe try to unlock it.
But at this point, given the current board state, it's one of those instances where you can't really play around the counterspell anymore. You're just going to have to jam that Great Henge. If it sticks, you have a shot to claw back into this game, right? Mm-hmm. I think playing around it probably puts you in a much worse position now because it looks like Luca's currently ahead on board.
So there's Fabled Passage for an additional landfall trigger here. And no matter which way Luca does this, both the Brushfires are going to get their triggers, and that's going to reduce the Great Henge down to just 4 mana.
Is it Henge time? Not quite. Ooh, one other cool thing that Luca can do for a future turn is steal Scavenging Ooze, and because of the Zagoth Triumphs, he has the mana to eat the Oxybogonus in Autumn Burchett's graveyard.
Really sweet. That is a cool play. This is a big turn here, though, for Autumn. Gets the Great Henge on the battlefield, and now Phoenix of Ash to follow up. Get a card. It gets bigger. Okay, fine. Lovestruck Beast. Pick your poison. It's going to be the Phoenix.
Yeah,
and that's going to be another
3/3
card, right? 3/3 because of the Henge. There's a Bone Crusher Giant into hand. Boy, you got to feel like things are starting to get real hot under the collar here for Luca.
Yeah, the
Scavenging Ooze just ate the Ox, it looks like.
Yeah, at this point, Autumn is also concerned about that Xerath, thinking about the possible ways now she can lose, because now with the Great Henge in play, she's the one that's now ahead, right? You have 3 creatures that you can play that will all draw you a card. And currently, I mean, the only way Luca's deck can even deal with the Great Henge is to bounce it with a Brazen Borrower. Offering the trade here with the Lovestruck Beast.
This has gotten very precarious here for Luca.
Whew. Now, if Autumn does make this attack, though, keep in mind that Luca can steal something with the Xerath by simply playing a blue spell and tapping down the lone blocker and Scavenging Ooze.
Right, so Autumn's going to have to be very careful about what exactly is in the graveyard. We can't quite see it.
There's at least the Phoenix of Ash in Autumn's graveyard.
Okay. Yeah, you can see that there.
And Luca doesn't have anything here, so he's going to have to go down to 2. I guess it looks like he's contemplating the chump block here with the Soaring Thought Thief, maybe not wanting to go down to 2 and get stomped to death, as he doesn't have a counterspell in hand. But man, just throwing away that Soaring Thought Thief, you don't have a whole lot of resources left. So
yeah,
it's possible,
I do not envy Luca's position here, though he does make the play that will actually benefit him the most, given the fact that there is a Bone Crusher Giant in hand that we know about. So Heartless Act, Lull Mage's Domination, and a Borrower on Adventure.
Yeah, so Heartless Act, unfortunately, will not kill Phoenix of Ash because it now has a counter on it, thanks to the Great Henge. Luca does have a blocker in Brazen Borrower, so it can fend it off.
How much damage can Luca get in here, Paul? Because Luca can steal like a Brushfire Elemental, then tap down the Ooze, right?
He can. Oh, it looks like
or
he's
the
going
other way.
Right, but this isn't going to be a lethal attack, which is the issue.
Okay, so he really needed to be able to finish this game off.
Right, so now he's going to attack, but and he's going to get the Phoenix of Ash from the graveyard, so he can block. However, I think this is lethal. So now what he's going to do is take the Phoenix of Ash. Autumn Burchett is then going to stomp the Phoenix of Ash, as it's only going to be a 2/2, then attack with Phoenix of Ash, pump, and that's going to be the game.
That does look to be the case here, Paul. Looks like Autumn Burchett has found the line to victory for yet another top 8 finish. Uses Bone Crusher Giant to stomp her own Phoenix of Ash out of the sky on the other side. There's another red mana source. And look at this. This Phoenix of Ash can come back, and you can do a double attack with both Phoenixes as well. Either way, Autumn Burchett is lining up a lethal attack against the tapped out Luca Magni. The 11-2 Autumn Burchett is about to improve to that magical 12th win, and that is another top 8 for Autumn. She's unstoppable.
Unbelievable. Completely unbelievable. I mean, just the complete dominance of this deck, right?